was.
You're listening to Oilers Nation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Oilers Nation Radio, this Tuesday's edition of Oilers Nation Radio. We're just starting nice and calm. No need to get too riled up about anything.
NPR radio over here.
That would be good. Liam, can you put like some sort of a nice natural sound, like a rainforest underbed to the start of this?
Yep. Babbling brook.
Yeah, there you go.
Or just like those spa noises, those like, ooh.
I can just make them as you talk.
I just don't want to.
Is this Halo?
You're supposed to talk.
Yeah, sorry, I know.
Talk with it.
He's relaxing actively.
Yeah, you guys really did.
We're doing a great job.
Listen, the Oilers lost back-to-back games. I just don't want us to get too riled up. I think we all got to stay nice and calm. They're still right in the thick of it.
Was anyone else at the game on Saturday?
Negative.
I think it was just you.
It was painful in there.
Oh.
Vibes, pregame vibes, excellent. End of the first period,
Not so.
not so much.
We're all sitting with our legs the same way.
No.
2 rights, 2 lefts.
2 rights, 2 lefts.
That's some
Symmetry.
nice symmetry. Yeah, right.
That only makes sense if you're watching on the YouTube, not if you're listening to this show in podcast form. But
Subscribe
anyways,
to the YouTube channel.
you should subscribe to the YouTube channel. That was a disappointing end of the road trip, BM. I'm sorry you had to sit through that.
Yes.
It's also shitty when it's a Saturday night. Maybe you get a couple in you before, then you go to the game and you're like, this is going to be a great evening. And then it's like end of the first period. They've blown their foot clean off.
Last minute of the first period.
Yeah. That was something. That was annoying. But as we do almost every episode, we're going to start the show with our delicious debate. And it's brought to you by Wendy's and the all new Daily Face-Off Survivor game, which is on right now at dailyfaceoffsurvivor.com. Anyone move on to day 2?
No.
No, I was out again.
I forgot to set my lineup.
Did you?
I'm sorry.
No. So there were 8 options.
They were all so hard.
And only 2 of them hit.
Ooh.
So 90% of the pool is out after day 1, which means 10% of you are still in the hunt for some delicious prizes from Wendy's, like the all new combo. It is the what combo, Liam?
Surreptitious.
Yeah, the all new French toast sticks and chicken strips at Wendy's. You can order them at Wendy's or on the Wendy's app. You can be a winner at lunchtime, even if you're a loser in the game.
What would happen if everyone missed? Would everybody
They
move
actually
on?
they have a plan for that, Liam. I checked this.
Doomsday.
It's the first 2 options is always a matchup of the day, so they have to have one winner or one loser.
That's smart.
So there's statistically you have a better chance of picking that option every time. Because
I just
it's a
think Wendy
50-50
gets
shot.
all the prizes.
Yeah, just the burger.
Wendy's.
No, the real Wendy.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, they all goes to her.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Her Wendy's app going crazy. Can you imagine being Wendy having
Everybody's
Wendy's
out. Wendy's like, ka-ching.
House wins.
Yeah.
House always wins.
All right, delicious debate. The Oilers went 4-2 on their homestand, but it was a disappointing finish. Let's slap a letter grade on this bad boy. Dan, I'll start down at your end of the room. What letter grade are you giving the Oilers for that homestand?
You got to give it like a B- at best, I would say. 4 wins to start it off, really good. 2 losses to not finish it off with more wins was bad. The defensive effort in those losses was not there. The goaltending let them go as well. So yeah, it was going to be an A+, but downgraded to a B-.
Liam, what do you think?
I'll go a little bit higher.
Higher than a B-?
I think they were an A-.
Really?
At the end of the day, they played 4 2/3 of a really good homestand. They were bad in the third period, but also they kind of got
Against Tampa?
Against Tampa Bay. They just ran into Vasilevsky, who was red hot.
Scored on him 4 times.
Yes, but they also had 57 shots, and it took everything for them to score on them. And I never felt like they were out of that game until the buzzer honestly went. Like, they pushed super hard towards the end of that game too. And then Florida, that was an F. That was a terrible game, the Florida game. But everything up until that was very good. They controlled a lot of the games. And well, who'd they beat on that homestand? Carolina, Minnesota, which was a bit back and forth, right? Chicago,
Jersey.
So there's 3. Add another one. That's 4. They were really good in 4 of those.
Was that on this homestand?
That was the one before.
Ah.
I don't think that was part of the 8 game.
No. It was back before that.
It all blends together. At some point,
Won 3, then lost 3 or something like that.
Yeah, so I'll give them an A-. I actually thought they were really, really good. Besides the last period of Tampa and then just the Florida game as a whole.
Last 4 periods of the homestand.
Yeah.
So they played
Downgrades them from an A+ to an A-.
They played 18 periods and 4 of them were bad. The other ones were good. Okay. So we got a B-, an A-. Rick, what say you?
I'm going about a B. So I think 75% there. I'm kind of right where the Liam is. Liam. Yeah, it was 4 bad periods. They're just the most recent ones, so they taste the worst. You can feel them right now. Everything before that was really, really good and really, really positive. So I see no reason why to get overly down on themselves and get back out there. And it's about 6-7 games between the now and the end of the calendar year, I think. Try and start to do that 7 game in a row again.
7-3 in every 10 game stretch will get you back to where you need to be. So,
I think so.
There you go. BM, what say you?
I'm looking at the University of Ottawa. Gives me a handy little conversion scale here. Letter grade to percentage grade.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just looked up the percentage too.
I needed to know. So Liam was a B-, Rick was a B.
I was an A-.
A-.
Or you're an A-, so there'd be a 90, 92%.
Yeah, that was.
What's a B?
A B would be a 83 to 86.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It was.
So I think I'm going to slide in around a B. I feel like,
Mathematically, they were 77%,
If you go by the period math, yeah.
so then that would be C+.
which they were better than that.
Terrible.
C's get degrees.
So what you're saying is B-
Terrible drink,
might
though.
be accurate?
I think.
B- would be an 80 to 82. So I'm going to go somewhere around the B- range. I thought that they played really, really well for the most part. The Tampa Bay game, they were fucking so good. And the fact that they didn't even get a point out of that game, very upsetting. And Florida was just awful. By the time the third period buzzer went, I was just sitting there kind of, you know, when you swirl your beer around, like I wasn't drinking it. I was just kind of watching it. That's where my head was at by the end of Saturday night's game. So I'm going to say B- is what I'll go. B-.
I think I'm B- too. I think that's going to be, well, not the consensus answer, but close to the majority answer here, just because, again, like 4-2 over that stretch is passable, right? Like that's kind of what we need to expect from them at this point going forward, is to win 4 out of every 6 home games from now till the end of the season. So yeah, you're right, Liam. Disappointing periods to end it, but there was also, a period against Minnesota that didn't look good and some other areas that didn't go so great. 3 of those wins were just dominant, like statement victories. The one against Minnesota, maybe not so much. And then, the loss to Tampa is one that's excusable, but then the loss to Florida is one that's not. So I think B- is right.
The Minnesota game, though, like, wasn't it at one point, like late in the third, Minnesota only had like 12 shots or something like that?
Yeah, that's fair. Stu
We're all
wasn't
over
great.
him. Stu was, I don't want to say he wasn't, it was that blip right at the start of the second, right?
Yeah.
He was, I don't know. He had worse games.
Feels like in the streak or in that stretch of 6 games, we beat the teams that we were supposed to, and we lost to the teams that we should have lost to, at least from a
No,
standpoint
we should
of,
have beat Tampa Bay.
well,
They're struggling right now.
yeah, I guess I just,
What I just mean by
And also never
just by what you
forget,
saw on the ice.
Tyler was basically guaranteeing a win against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I said Tampa Bay is not good. And then when the Oilers came back, I texted Jay and said, told you Tampa Bay stinks.
nice.
And then
So
They
I
just have very highly offensive players, and if those 4 guys play really well, plus they've got 2 really good defensemen and 1 incredible goaltender.
and Tyler does not know his own power.
That's fair.
I guess I just look at like New Jersey struggling, Chicago bad, Minnesota
up and down. Yeah.
pretty down right now. Mid for sure.
Minnesota.
but I would say nice. And then what was the other team that we listed?
Fuck, that'd be a
there?
good GFO shirt.
Oh, yeah, the
Minnesota.
Devils. Yeah,
They've been up and
Hughes
down.
Brothers, yeah, they've struggled to score a couple goals. They're power play merchants. We don't know anything about that. So I guess my thing is the next 3 games are what are the most important
tough.
stretch. Yeah, because you're
Tough goalies in this stretch too.
Yep.
Sorokin tonight.
Here we go. You don't do your Tampa thing where you say Sorokin's not good, Tyler.
Oh, I wasn't going to do that.
Sorokin,
Schmid.
and they got Jersey on Thursday.
Yeah, Jersey
meh. But then you get your Sturkin on Friday.
And the second
no
of-
goaltending in
but
Jersey.
But Jersey plays their game and they
Jersey,
actually might be a
Jersey
The
didn't
team
do
is
anything
very, very
against
good.
us.
yes.
No,
Jersey
agreed.
didn't look good against us. Well, they
No, they
skated
were-
the perimeter all
still a
day.
good team.
The
though.
Hughes brothers were
They're
a
a fine
circus
team,
act.
but I don't think they need some additions to that team just by watching that one game. Obviously, I don't
They're
watch a
probably
lot of them
shooting
away
for
from that. But like Hughes was around the edges and never really tried to break
He
it
is
to the
kind of,
middle
yeah.
and didn't really use his teammates all that well.
I made a
think.
joke in my group chat. I feel like Tyler will like it. Jack Hughes is more skilled Ryan McLeod. Very fast perimeter player.
Yeah.
Jack Hughes is better.
Which is funny because they have Michael McLeod on that team too.
They do. I really like Jack Hughes. I'm probably higher on him than a lot of people.
More skilled than Ryan McLeod.
I just think like for me as an Oilers fan, when they came to town, I thought that they were going to be better than what I saw. Was my assessment.
Luke Hughes was very unnoticeable that game.
Can I put
I was looking for him, but
may I put a comparison on this year's New Jersey Devils?
yes, please.
They feel very much like the 2018 Edmonton Oilers, where the expectations were extremely high.
Heavy lies the crown, one might say.
Yes. The expectations were really high because of how well they had done last year. They were a young group, and now they're kind of coming into it, and it's like they're in a really tough division. It's hard to be that good every year, and they're in that stage where you're learning about it. I think their blue line's probably better.
But no Dougie Hamilton.
Dougie Hamilton, like their goaltending was unexpectedly good last season.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Cam Talbot was in a way, right? Like he was a Vezina candidate.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that season. And then it kind of all fell apart a little bit the year after. I still think they're a very good team, and I'm not trying to write them off by any means, but like this kind of feels like maybe the expectations were a bit too much for what that group actually is.
Yeah, we've kind of done it now, but we're going to save the preview of the road trip for a little bit later in the show. And instead, we're going to quickly get to, since we're talking about recapping the homestand, who delivered since we last recorded an episode. There's actually only been the one Oilers game. Granted, last time on Friday, Liam, it was yourself, Dan, Kennedy, and Waz?
I'm Rick.
Oh, you were here. All right. So we've only had the one game since the last time we did a podcast. We can still do our Who Delivered for DoorDash for a limited time. Our Canadian listeners can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when they download the DoorDash app and use the promo code Nation25. Dash that for the win and make DoorDash your holiday hack this holiday season. I'll flip the order from the letter grades. So I'll go with BM first. Who delivered, BM?
Without question. Very, very easy. I was at the game on Saturday. Hunter was so good on Saturday. And sure, you may argue that the mascot is for kids, but I say he's also for me.
He brings it every game.
He was dressed like Santa.
Mm-hmm.
He had his drum on. I love every time I watch him do the rail slide. And he was doing it right in front of me. You would have been, if you were in your seats, it would have been right beside you.
My dad laughs out loud every time. He's probably seen it 100 times now. Every time Hunter does the rail slide
And walk back up.
Or Hunter does another bit where he'll go find someone in the crowd with popcorn and he'll be like, oh, can I have a piece? And he'll take it and dump the whole thing on his head. And my dad, it sends him. It's so funny.
So he did it again, the popcorn trick. You know what? I can watch that on repeat. It's like a Seinfeld episode. I'll just keep watching. So you know what, Hunter, you delivered, like Rick said, every time, but I was there on Saturday for my first trip to Rogers Place this season. Hunter was great, dressed like Santa. He was throwing out presents. The t-shirt toss was fantastic. Hunter, you brought the vibes, even though the team on the ice did not.
Rick, who delivered?
Well, I'll take the easy one. Well, I guess the second easy one then. He keeps his multi-point streak going here. It's Connor. You know, if there was one bright light out of that game, is the fact is he was able to keep that streak moving. And yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of good to take out of that, but we'll give it to the captain.
Liam, what do you think?
Who delivered? It's tough to pick. I wish we had the full homestand to pick from.
Sure, I'll let you do that.
But I already did that on Friday.
Go.
I mean, didn't Zach Hyman get the goal?
Did.
I'll take it.
Beauty goal too.
He delivered.
Here's a little one.
Really nice passing play from those three as well. I know we're going to get to it, but it bums me out that the rest of the lineup couldn't keep shit going so that they had to get split up. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in our preview as well. We'll get to some lineup talk in a bit. Quickly, as an aside, Sunil over at Oilersnation.com. I'm not going to say his last name. I don't think I've ever said it out loud before. Anyway, Sunil wrote a great piece on Zach Hyman being a potential 50 goal guy this season. So if you want to dig into the analytics side of things and all of that, Sunil does it absolutely wonderfully. I've been a big fan of his stuff. I love that he's over, or back, I should say, at Oilersnation.com. Can Zach Hyman hit 50 goals? Let's go around the room, rapid fire. Dan, do you think Zach Hyman can do it?
Yes, but I don't think he does.
Okay.
I think he'll get 44.
I am going. Oh, maybe we should do that. Let's play a game.
Oh,
let's finish. Let's predict Zach Hyman predictions.
What's he on pace for right now? Do we have that?
About 54 to 56 in that range. Dan, what's your prediction?
48.
48. Liam, you said
44.
Okay. Rick,
Let's go 46.
BM.
Let me see here. He's on pace for 54 to 56, roughly. Career high came last year with 36. I'm going to go 42.
42. I'm going to say dead on 50. I'm going to be the optimistic one.
I like it.
I'm going to price this right you guys a little
I
bit.
love it. Like, this city will go bananas if he hits 50.
The encouraging thing is that he's scoring a lot at 5-on-5. Like he does get it. He gets his power play goals. I'm not saying he's not, but it's not like 11 of his goals are on the power play or anything crazy like that. No. Like he's been chipping in all over the place. So I like it from Zach Hyman. We'll see if he can get 50. Dan, you're up next for Who Delivered. Also 3-game goal streak for Zach Hyman.
Oh, bet it tonight on Betway.
I wasn't at the game, but I'm going to do the same thing as Vejmelka and go into the stands. And I'm going to give it to a single Oilers fan, Banjo guy, 55 on Instagram.
His outfit was great.
His outfit, he dressed up as the Grinch. You can check it out on our Instagram and our Facebook page. But just an unreal get up that guy puts together every game, every single game day. He is there dressed up as something special. So yeah, you get my delivered.
I was thinking about Banjo guy actually on Saturday because I saw him.
Yeah.
And I saw the outfit. I go,
how could you not see him?
I was like, fuck, look at this guy today. All out, dressed like the Grinch. That is a sad disrobing though, after a 5-1 loss on a Saturday night when you got to go home and wash the makeup off and stuff. Like I was thinking about him on Saturday night when he was going home. He's just, for fuck's sake. He's washing it off again.
He should have videoed it though. And just watch the, like the shot of the sad Grinch getting the wash.
Yeah. I want to see the whole story arc, getting ready to the disrobing.
Yep. 100%.
Ooh, a behind the scenes liquid banjo guy. We could that's a good content idea.
You know what though? Also honorary Who Delivered, my boy Nooch. 10 points in his last 5 games. He's dishing out there.
How many points do you have now?
24, 25.
So he's on pace for like 79.
Yeah, he just needs the assists are all there. He just needs some more goals.
Yeah. A lot of them do.
I'm going to use my Who Delivered as a little shout out to Evan Bouchard, who had his 13-game point streak snapped against the Florida Panthers, although he still racked up 6 shots on goal. The defensive mistakes are coming out of his game a little bit, and a 13-game point streak for a defenseman is like borderline unheard of. That's stuff that only like Cale McCarr and Quinn Hughes can do. And Bouchard offensively is right up there in the conversation with those guys. His shot has somehow given the Oilers another elite option on the power play, which is borderline unfair considering they always have two future Hall of Famers on the ice with them. So Evan Bouchard gets my Who Delivered for DoorDash.
To answer the question specifically, Liam, 29 for Nuge so far.
Points?
Yeah.
In 28 games, eh?
29 and 28. 22 assists. So the apples are there. He's an apple tree right now. It's just the goals need to come up.
Oh, he missed on that breakaway the other day too. It's like,
and he had that rebound chance right in front of Bobrovsky where he threw the glove hand out.
A lot of bad breakaways recently.
Yeah, that Ekholm breakaway against Florida was so ugly when they showed the reverse angle on Sportsnet, and you could see Bobrovsky like flinched right.
Yeah, he tried to guess.
He tried to guess and just like moved right, and Ekholm still just fired it like at his left knee. It was not a good look.
I was at the other end of the rink from that. I'm like, is that fucking Ekholm?
Also, hate to do it, but Sam Gagne's penalty shot. Brutal.
That wasn't good.
I was so excited.
Yeah,
I filmed it. Great. I was so excited because it was coming right in front of me.
I was expecting like a forehand, backhand 17 times and then something upstairs at the end, just like he did back in the goal weight and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like he hasn't done that for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like you do it
because like that to me, I was just like in the crowd, you kind of started to feel some life come back again because not only did Sam get a penalty shot, they also got a bench minor for abusing the referee.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, 2-goal swing.
Man,
was it the same
so
guy?
Rare you see a penalty shot and a penalty on the same play.
Yeah.
I believe it was Cousins.
It was Cousins, yeah.
On tour got the penalty.
They didn't say what, obviously what, but it was just abuse of the official, 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, all right.
I was very confused in the moment, and I thought, do they always put the guy in the penalty box?
Yeah, for a second I thought that too, actually.
I never noticed this before.
You got to sit and watch from there.
You can't be with your friends. You have to think about what you did.
I did, and I mean, God love him for being positive in blowouts, Louis DeBrusque. I got a chuckle in the third period when he was like, if Sam Gagne scores that penalty shot and then the Oilers score on the power play, they're right back in this game.
They're only 2 goals back at that point.
I was like, well, I mean,
and if they score a third goal and a fourth goal, it's a tied game.
And I would imagine it would have been Harn Ryan on Saturday.
Yeah, it was Harn Ryan and Louis. And we're all only 27 consecutive blackjack victories away from being billionaires. I don't know if you guys saw that going around.
Just an 8-game heater away from being back in this thing, right?
We always are. Check out the new shirt at nationgear.ca. We've sold a few of them.
An 8-game heater solves a lot of issues. Now we need another one.
Well, so what's interesting?
Sevens. You already got one. It's a check mark, green check mark, positive Tuesday or whatever it is today.
The thing is, Liam and I talked about this on ON Every Day Today, which is now streaming live on Instagram, by the way, for those who are interested. The difference between the teams who got off to slow starts and hot starts, The Vancouver Canucks played like 500 hockey the entire month of November. They haven't been that good for a while, and they're still doing fine because they got such a hot start.
With the loser point, it's so tough to make ground up.
Exactly. Like the Oilers and Wild both had really good heaters. And because you lose a couple of games, you're right back where you started.
This is when it gets tough, though. This is when like it gets mucky out there. You're just outside of Christmas into the terrible time of January. Mm-hmm. This is when, if teams can slip, if you can get another 7-gamer in there somewhere in January, you can make a real climb. They'll do it. I said they'll get to.
I know. It's the 8-game.
They can get it. They can get it this month still.
Yeah. Let's continue along with the show and talk a little bit about what we could see with the Oilers lineup this evening. BM, you hinted at it a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, it bummed me out.
Yeah, like that Hyman, Nuge, McDavid line was the best line in hockey for 10 to 14 days, 3 weeks almost. It was so good. The Draisaitl-Kane duo, plus whoever happens to be on their right side, we'll say Connor Brown, they just couldn't piss a drop offensively. And it's really disappointing that two guys like Kane and Draisaitl, who we've seen be absolute drivers for this team.
You know what's going on with Kane right now?
I don't know.
Banged up.
But he's skating now. So I think it's just like I don't think it's anything that serious.
So I'm watching, again, I'm sitting there on Saturday in my seat. And I'm like, I'm really going to watch Connor Brown tonight. Why though? Why did I do that? When I left, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go write my article for post game when I get home. And I'm like, I guarantee when I get home, his stat line is going to be zeros across the board. He had 1 shot on net, I think, maybe 2 in 14 plus minutes. Like, bro.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
His value is going to have to be.
He's fancy
quality.
Leonard Petrol.
His value is going to have to be quality, not quantity. When it comes to goals, now he can finish with 7 goals on the year, but those 7 goals are going to have to be high quality. Somehow, third period type, overtime type. We're not getting the whatever we're
20 goals we were hoping for. Yeah.
Now
I had him at 65 points. I think I'm going to just a bit outside.
we can still get value out of him, but it's got to be highly valuable goals now.
I just I knew we should have assumed it'd be a bigger struggle for him, given that he missed the entire season last year, but I did not expect it to be this grim.
Yeah, I mean,
cap hit aside, it is what it is.
I'll admit it, man. I didn't really know what to expect out of the player coming in.
I was hoping when Nobby came in, I'd be like, oh, the junior coach, come on, fire him up.
I was expecting miniature Zach Hyman. We're not getting miniature Zach Hyman.
So miniature Zach Hyman is James Hamblin
right now.
Yeah.
Well, Hyman light.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Connor Brown to. I think it's coming. I still think it's going to come.
I think it is too. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with
quality,
I agree with your assessment.
Thank God, there's that tying goal or
playoffs.
Game winner.
Maybe we get a Pisani kind of effort out of him in the playoffs.
Yeah, it feels.
He's going to be my Pisani pick for sure this year.
It feels Mike Pekka-ish. Because Mike Pekka didn't do shit in the first 3 quarters of that season.
He had 9 goals on the year as a whole in 06.
Bro, he was rough. And you go back even further, and I know this guy's like a Hall of Famer, but Adam Oates is the same thing where we got him, and all of a sudden we had these weird inflated views of what was going to happen, and it was just a whoopee cushion.
Tell me he's not fancy Leonard Petrol. In 2011, 2012, 60 games, 4 goals, 9 points.
Oh, Brown will finish with more than 4 goals.
Why does give you any indication that will happen?
He's hit a couple goalposts. Had 1 waved off.
That doesn't even count as a shot.
Shots, yeah, not even shots.
He's way better in the last 5 games than he has been in the first 9. I'm pulling for him. I was hoping that goal that he scored, that wasn't a goal, like I waved off.
He should have 3 or 4, maybe 5 by now.
But
yeah, 0.
Fancy Leonard Petrol.
So far.
Another issue I'm having with the Connor Brown discourse, and Liam, we saw it today. People being like, trade him. You got to trade him.
To whomst?
So pointless.
Well, but also you're on the hook for the bonus already.
Yeah.
So why would you?
You are. That's what I was. Yeah. My question.
So
that 3.25 don't go with him.
No. So it's kind of a little bit backwards to be like, well, trade him. No, he's $750K. You got to see it through, my boy. Yeah. You got to let him play the full year.
That was my question. It was about the bonus, but if you're stuck with the bonus, then what's the point?
There's no point trading him.
Yeah.
Unless you could package him and Jack Campbell together.
Ooh, but then
now we're
what kind of I don't know, that's going to take all of our magic beans to go with them too.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Didn't Campbell get lit up again on the weekend?
Yeah.
He got pulled.
At what point do you have to play Olivier Rodrigue?
Now, a week ago.
But like, are they going to do it? I agree with you guys, but are they going to do it?
Yes, you'll see it. You'll see it. I swear.
I don't know that we will.
You will. They'll that call. We're not going to notice it, but you'll see Ollie play a lot more than Jack coming through.
Maybe he's the guy. He's the second.
Who, Ollie?
Pick.
I know. Like this. We're literally raising 2 NHL starting goaltenders when we've never done it before. We just could really use a veteran that help him out a little bit.
He's only played 6 games in the AHL. Like, stop playing Jack Campbell. He is what he is.
Yeah. We know he's not going to, like...
It's a 935 this season.
Ollie?
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting to warm up to the idea of, like, fuck it that he's a kid, you know? Just let him in.
I mean, like...
Are we done with Pickard? Is that what
No,
I
Pickard's
don't know that we're
fine,
done
though.
with Pickard, but like Saturday didn't help his case.
No.
But, like, we're trying to catch lightning in a bottle, right? So, like...
Jordan Biddington syndrome is what we call that.
Yeah. Is there maybe a better chance that Ollie gives you lightning in a bottle versus Pickard?
Okay. So if Rodrigue gets like 15 games and he's lingering at like 920, even like 915, 920.
By that point, though, we're probably in February.
Trade deadlines come in. You're like, hey, like maybe this is what we do.
No, you give him a taste here in the next 2 or 3 weeks if you want to give him a game or two.
There's no way.
Start him against the Sharks. There's no way the Oilers lose to the Sharks again.
Right? Right?
Right?
I don't know. Like those numbers are very impressive. Pickett at a 939 in 4 games.
What's Soupy's there? We're talking AHL
let me
numbers.
just
898 or something like that.
888.
My bad.
What is he in the
888.
NHL?
And he's played 10 games in the NHL.
Oh, my God. It's so bad.
888 the AHL for 10 games is like, bro, we're not going to
He's
see
let
him
up
again.
3 goals
think
in
that's
like almost
bad?
all of them or something like that.
73 in 5 games in the NHL this year.
Oh, improvement.
No. 873.
Yeah, well, an improvement in the American League.
Oh, yes. Yes. Sorry.
Improving.
I lost my train of thought a little bit there. But okay, sure. Let's go to this because we talked about the line combinations a little bit there and how that's kind of disappointing. But what do you guys make of the Karel Vejmelka rumors? It feels like they're starting to pick up a little bit here, and the goaltending market is, I mean, it's an interesting one because LA clearly needs one.
LA does?
They need a backup. Copley's on long-term IR.
David Rittich, not a backup.
Can I introduce them in a gazpacho?
Maybe.
I have one just small thing.
Sorry, just quickly. The Canes also need a goalie and the Devils also need a goalie.
So Olivier Rodrigue isn't registered on the American Hockey League website as a goalie because he hasn't played enough games, like on the stats. But he has the best save percentage in the American Hockey League this season.
Assuming there's not other unqualified goalies.
Yeah, assuming.
Play him.
He has a 935 and Clay Stevenson on Hershey. He looks pretty old in 13 games.
Why does he look old? Is it the
He has a beard.
Ageist of you.
He's from Drayton Valley.
He's born in
1999.
Which means he probably has family listening to this. So sorry, Clay.
Sorry, Stevensons. He's actually younger than me. He
Liam
looks
is
very
older
young.
than you, so
There you go.
now we're
If only
going
we
down
had the
a wormhole,
technology to
but
find out how old that guy is.
He's 24.
there it is.
Yeah.
He's 3 years younger than you, bro.
Looks old. Looks old to Liam.
It's a tough moment for you. Tough moment of realization. You're not the young buck you thought you were.
Down bad.
My knees will tell me that too.
Anyways, the goalie market is starting to look like there's a lot more buyers than sellers because the Red Wings are now motivated to hold on to all their goalies because everyone's getting hurt. Montreal still has Jake Allen. I guess Arizona maybe floating Vejmelka out there. Like
why?
I don't know why.
Man,
And also, sorry.
because he's not that good.
Okay.
900 on a bad team last year.
But now he's 900 save percentage on a good team this year.
I would take 900, and we've seen him have stretches.
God,
where he looks really good.
grim.
How many games has he played in his career?
Yeah, 60. I don't know.
100 and some, because he had 250 start seasons
This
down
year
in
he has
Arizona.
3 wins on the year and he's played 13 games.
115 games in his career. He's got an 899.
I don't know. I still feel like if we're gonna go get a goalie, we need to get an obvious upgrade.
I think Vejmelka might be that guy.
This can't be I know, but the thing that scares me is they use the word might.
Yep.
Fair.
I need to hear this is the guy. Like last year, we kept talking about defensemen last year. And when they kept bringing up names, they were like lateral moves. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think. And then it came along and we got Ekholm. And that was an obvious upgrade. That is what we need this year. We need another Ekholm. But
like if you say UC Saros, I know he's not available probably because Nashville's actually playing well, but that's an obvious upgrade.
But I don't think you need to go that high because, again, you're just looking for someone. I agree you need an upgrade in the sense that, like, I don't love James Reimer because he's a Band-Aid solution for this year, then he's gone, right? I don't love picking up Ranta on waivers because he's not better than Pickard. I agree you need an upgrade, but I think Vejmelka, Blackwood, that's the range of upgrade that's both realistic and a move that's worthwhile.
The upside is definitely something to be considered with him. He is only 27, but I don't know. It's really strange to me that Arizona, who is in a stage of like trying to compete, is like, you know what? Maybe we can get rid of this 27-year-old just because like Connor Ingram's taking over that job. I don't know. He's just
price tag
2.75 for one more year.
Yeah.
And the other thing with Arizona is they could stomach soup.
I mean,
gazpacho.
But like if
that was the case,
you got to send over a loaf of bread with it. But hey,
right, like you're doing this in part because they agree to take Campbell off your hands.
So okay, so put that trade together for me then, because that's obviously a first
and third Campbell,
first and third Campbell, Broberg
for Vejmelka. Full rip on Campbell.
Full rip.
Yeah, I can't probably sign that fast enough. And this is not a shot at Broberg because I still think he's up and coming and has an opportunity. It's not going to be here, I don't believe. It kind of leaves us in a big hole with defensemen down there. But I mean, I don't know where Nemo's at these days. This Gleason guy, I don't know if he can be a 7. Like he's
just living his best life right now. Cruising. He's like, I'm on the PJ. I'm on the PJ.
I just like having
texting all the boys in Baco. He's like, you won't believe where I am. And it's him on the jet.
Check this out. He takes a selfie. It's just McDavid sleeping behind him.
In 8 games so far with the Condors, Broberg has 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points.
Yeah, and I think he's playing well, is what I've heard. And I don't know. I just like having that next guy up down there, and I don't think there's another one after that. Then, like, there's not another defense. There's not a Savoy. There's not a Petrov. There's not a Tulio. There's not some guys kind of growing into the next Broberg, the next whatever.
Yeah,
it's Nemo, and I think you're.
People were.
And I don't know. And I don't know what Nemo is.
Warner's good,
but Warner's going to be. Yeah, that's 2 years, right?
Yeah.
People were roasting me for bringing this up on the live stream, but one thing we probably don't talk about enough is just how fortunate the Oilers have been with the injury bug in their blue line.
You had to bring it up.
Well, but it's worth noting.
What did I say about the
power ratings?
I know, but like that's one thing that like has kind of really worked against Broberg over the last year and a bit now is that everyone is just staying healthy.
Yeah, he's not getting his opportunities.
So he's not getting his opportunities. It is worth noting in any potential move where Broberg goes out that he is we're one injury away from him being clearly our 6th best defenseman.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way in that deal, potential hypothetical deal with Arizona, you could get a defenseman like. Is Matt
like
Dumba,
Michael Kesselring?
Is Matt Dumba good?
Not really.
No.
I'm not all that interested in Dumba.
I remember the talk around that last year too. And like, Kesselring and dude, you have to get like, who cares? He hasn't done it. And all of a sudden here we are.
Here's another reason why
terribly funny.
Here's a reason why Arizona might want D-man like Broberg to add to their system. All their defensemen are pending free agents. Just every single one of them.
Yeah.
Granted, a handful are RFAs. Moser, Kesselring, Valimaki, and Dursey, but like it's just a shitload of free agents. Yeah, so maybe they want a D-man.
They just don't have.
I know Broberg is too, but
like Dumba would be the one that's like, yeah, I would take a shot at him, but he's almost $4 million.
I kind of like Moser. I think he's a guy with some upside.
I like him,
but he's young.
I just don't think they would move him.
Yeah.
Valimaki, don't think he's going to be playing.
Oh yeah. Do you hear that Valimaki story? That Frank wrote about on DFO. So Valimaki got like a puck to the face or something like that. So they took him to the hospital in Dallas.
Oh yeah.
And the hospital was just like, you should probably go home and rest. And he was like, what? Like my mouth. And his wife happened to be on the road trip and was like, no, you're not going home. And another doctor came and was like, oh yeah, if you would have went home, there's like a good chance you would have choked on your own blood and died. And then they
didn't take care of him.
And then they'd put 55 stitches in his mouth.
Yeah.
That's how big the gash was. And he sat in the hospital for 4 hours without any medical care. It's pretty wild. The NH
5 stitches.
Yeah. And then the first doctor says, just sleep it off. Just go home. Come back tomorrow.
Make sure you sleep on your side, though.
So NHLPA rightfully pissed about that situation. But all right, there you go. Karel Vejmelka, we're torn on him. It would depend on the trade, I guess. Because if you can get rid of Soup, like that's a guy who works.
Yeah, then you just got to go find your goalie again next summer.
Yeah.
Didn't Gregor write today that the Oilers can't move Campbell or something like that?
Why?
They can't, or like they're trying and are incapable of.
I can't remember exactly what he said.
The game notes?
How can you bring that up and not have any more information on
Somebody put it on Twitter, but I closed the
it? Oh, you
Twitter.
probably muted
Probably
him.
muted them.
Yeah. Liam Sodden was like, I don't want to see any more of that. Bye-bye.
That's not going to work for
Let
me.
me find
Hey,
this.
Liam, check that. Mute.
Yeah.
Mute. Let me find this.
Happy
little
birthday, Liam.
gadget.
Mute.
Sorry, guys. I know this is good ribbon.
Yeah, that's all right.
content.
It's all good, buddy.
Not in the game notes.
I got it. Oh, no.
It was in the mailbag?
Must have been from yesterday.
Oh, geez, Liam.
You're a rascal.
Yeah, we're just going to move on. Don't even stop looking for it.
No. I'll find it.
There's no real reason why, like, if there was, you couldn't move him as in, like, something against the rules or something, we'd know that by now. And in terms of you can't move him, I don't believe that because we've seen terrible contracts get moved.
Here it is.
It's just not
All right.
very
Here we
easy
go.
or cheap.
Moving Campbell takes vital trade pieces out of their arsenal, and that's why a trade hasn't happened yet.
Fair.
It's easy to say trade Campbell, but much harder to do, especially if you want assets to acquire players who will actually help you win games. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but in that one trade, we used assets to move that one position, and then after that, you do have to start moving, other assets, the other next first round pick.
It's almost like it's the GM's job.
Yeah,
Just
but
need
like
one.
there's only so much.
But like, does Vancouver have so many assets that they're able to just make all the trades they want?
And they went out and got a good goalie at the start of the year in Casey DeSmith, who's been a solid backup, and they got their defenseman and they beefed up their bottom six. And it's like, yeah,
I'm just
it is
kind of tired
frustrating.
of hearing the excuses of always difficult to trade
Yeah.
in the NHL.
No, I agree
It's like,
because
oh, everyone else does it. It's
we
hard to do,
we
Liam.
say you can't do that with the players. Like the players have to win. They have to go out there. They have to do this. They got to do that. Well, guess what? The GM's job is to do what he's got to do,
Yep.
and it's now his turn. He's got to figure out. He's the one, he's the one who fucked this up.
He did.
And I don't mind the move as much. I think it was a couple of years too much, but in the long run, nobody saw this guy falling off the way he did.
No.
So I'm not going to sit here and like crucify him as much as some other people want to do because it's just a once in a blue moon type of a situation. But here it is. Now it's time to figure it out.
Should be fired still, but
Well,
That's old. That's just old white collar stuff. They're gonna let him ride it out and take his
and another
watch or whatever the hell he
disappointed
gets
year because of it. It is like
hasn't been a disappointing year yet. Year's not
Well, I
over.
would argue it's been very disappointing.
Well, I
so
mean, like,
far.
it's not a
Could still
failure.
get more disappointing, is what we're saying.
I just
Like
think
that line from the Simpsons movie,
Yeah.
the worst day of your life so far.
like everyone criticized Alvin and Rutherford last year for what they were doing. Like the Horvat trade wasn't enough and all this stuff. But it's like, then they got Hronek and it's like, well, why are you getting this guy? We're rebuilding. And now they're third in the division and they actually look like a pretty good team. They're better than the Oilers.
Yes.
And we're just sitting there on our hands saying, like, I'm not picking on Gregor here, but just like Holland the other day is like, oh, well, we're taking our goaltending week by week.
Yeah, but he kind of. Well, I
But
mean,
it's
he
like,
said
well,
that
what
a
are you
little bit
waiting
earlier.
for? Like, you don't need to say that stuff though. At this point, it's like, yes, we are trying to fix this. Like, we're trying to make
Or
this
like
better.
we're aware of what the problems on our team
Yeah,
are.
like week to week, like
But you know what
Why?
that means
Like, what-
because the longer you wait, the more expensive, the better,
I
bigger
get
price
that
I can
too.
get.
And I
you
wrote about that this week too.
Yeah.
Of like your patience may pay off.
Like, what if
It's just aggravating?
Like, what if Minnesota doesn't get back in the race and you can convince Marc-Andre Fleury to come here?
I think so.
Is
I think
he
that could
Rolison
be-
2.0?
That could be someone, especially after what happened yesterday. Maybe he becomes unpleased there.
That is wild.
It was a part of the plan
Yeah.
to lose the game ahead of time.
Also, okay, but so the decision to not play Fleury in Pittsburgh appears even more bonkers. They play again tonight. It's a back-to-back. You have to start Fleury in one of them. Why wouldn't you just start him in Pittsburgh and start your better goalie against Boston?
Didn't make sense to me.
It was a part
No,
of
it
the
doesn't
plan.
make any sense.
That's my favorite quote.
Who we put that on?
It was all planned. The coach says
Oh, yeah,
that it
the
was
coach.
planned ahead of time. Yeah.
Yep. Fleury was not happy. So, Marc-Andre, if Minnie stays out of the playoff race, we have a spot for you in Edmonton.
Again,
Could we afford that? I don't know what Fleury makes these days.
3.5. So at the deadline, keep half, send Fogle the other way. You're coming out ahead.
Plan is to just piss him off as much as possible.
Yeah.
Should we start sending letters to Marc-Andre Fleury about how the Wild have wronged him?
It's almost Christmas, right? So we had to like get on these bouquets right now, get them some flowers.
Hey, sorry you got screwed over yesterday, MAF, from Edmonton.
Gift basket.
Yes.
Edible arrangement.
All right.
Enjoy the chocolates.
We are going to do a preview of the road trip, but first we're going to step aside for a quick break. All right. Welcome back to the podcast. It's time for Can You Clear This Up For Me with our boy Waz, and it's brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross and their fantastic travel insurance. Head to ab.bluecross.ca/travel to find out how Alberta Blue Cross can help you protect your memories and more wherever your travel takes you. Maybe you want to come on the nation vacation. We're doing that with our friends at Alberta Blue Cross.
It's true.
Right now, nationgear.ca, $19.99 based on double occupancy. It's going to get you your flights, your hotel, and your tickets to watch Edmonton versus Arizona. And you're going to be doing it all with us, your favorite Oilers Nation crew. Happening right now, nationgear.ca. If you're like, hey, I'm not in Edmonton, or hey, I'm already in Arizona, I don't need the flights. We do have a flightless option for $999 as well. That gets you your tickets and hotel, and you get to hang out with us down in Arizona. Can you clear this up for me? Presented by Alberta Blue Cross. Waz, let's go.
First one is clear this up for me. Why does no one want to hire Jay Woodcroft with all the firings I keep hearing on Twitter, especially? It's like, oh, nobody wants Woodcroft. What's going on here? Can you clear that up for me?
I don't think no one wants him.
I was a little bit surprised to see him not slide in the Ottawa job.
That was less surprising than seeing who slid in.
Yes.
I think the Jacques Martin hiring in Ottawa, though, is very much a interim thing. Like
Get through the year. Yeah, he's definitely not going to be there next year. Right?
He's the oldest coach in
long-term solution right there.
I just think they're going to go through the proper process. He's the oldest coach in the NHL now by like a decade or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I don't think you can bring in Woody as an interim. You find your way to get through the season and you do your proper research and you put them together in the summer.
For all we know, Jay Woodcroft could be sitting there going, oh, I'm getting $3 million this year. I'm going to wait till the summer and see what the options are. Like he'll get another job at some point in his career. So I think Woody can afford to be patient. So I don't know if it's a matter of no one wanting Woody. I think it's just awkward timing. Yeah,
my nightmare scenario is when the Leafs get knocked out and Sheldon Keefe gets fired, that Woody slides in there. That is my nightmare scenario. I apologize for putting that in the universe.
Yeah, that's mildly frightening. All right.
Next one.
Sorry, I was just going to say, with job offers and that kind of thing, you just have to remember that he gets to choose his spot too, right?
But maybe other organizations have been developing that guy in the American League.
Yep.
Like maybe they just have a guy ready. Like St. Louis did that, right? Like I know that guy's not going to be that long term, they've said, but maybe they just want to give him a chance to see what he is.
Maybe.
Next up here, clear this up for me. The Oilers are not a ruthless enough as an organization. Everyone says they need to be like Vegas, but are there reasons why the Oilers don't manage the Golden Knights? I always feel like the Golden Knights management is like the measuring stick for the Oilers in general.
I mean, what Vegas does that's unique, I think, is they're very much playing for today.
Yep.
Yeah.
They will sell the farm. They will sell out reputation. They will sell a Vezina winning goalie for literally nothing if they think it's going to make them better today. And I think that in the NHL, at least to my opinion, that's a little bit unique. You don't really see teams as balls out as them, generally speaking. I mean, their owner said, we're going to win a Stanley Cup in the first 5 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They went out and did it. And they were very, very aggressive with players that were loved in the market to make that happen. Like,
It's very progressive, and I think that's the way more teams should operate in the NHL because Vegas just won a Stanley Cup. Like, I don't think you can just sit on your hands all the time. I think it's good to make change too. Like they just traded Riley Smith, who was one of their misfits, right? And loved, so they could keep a younger Ivan Barbashev because it makes sense.
Yeah, I just think that as an organization, I also think Vegas had an opportunity presented to them middle of their inaugural season. I don't think that this was necessarily the path that they had planned to take. I think that they had brought in a bunch of guys that they thought they could get more value out of by sending them outwards after, playing out a season of fun in Vegas, but instead they had all that success and they completely pivoted their entire kind of thing. I think even what you mentioned, Vejmelka, about Bill Foley planning to win a cup in 5 years, I don't think if if you had asked him at that time, was his plan to cast out Marc-Andre Fleury and cast out all these guys that were fan favorites in the city? I don't think that was it. I think it was just presented to them and they took that opportunity, and now it's just kind of their makeup as an organization.
I also think Vegas can do that because guys are always going to want to play in Vegas, right? Like playing in Vegas is a destination. If it gets out there that the Oilers are a dog shit organization that treats you bad and will go back on their word, waive Connor Brown before getting his bonus, you might have a hard time getting guys to come up here. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm
a little bit like that, but you see in New York in baseball, the Yankees were a certain run way, but everybody should want to go live in New York. And all of a sudden, guys were like, "I do not want to play for the Yankees." So but Vegas had nothing to lose. But they had nothing to lose. They were starting fresh. They can just go at it. And you're in the beginning stages of your franchise. You need to make a splash. Yeah. And the Oilers just happen to be run by a lot of older conservative dudes that, they're trying to almost not lose and kind of, as opposed to attacking a victory.
Yeah, they're playing not to lose, not to win.
Yeah, they're
like, in some regards. And I think too, like I agree, Tyler, with Vegas, the location for itself is a player's destination, but they also win a ton of hockey games, which allows them to have that flexibility of like, well, players will want to win. And also they don't really sign players. They just trade for everyone. Yeah. And then they're able to convince them to re-sign. It's very interesting. I'm just looking at their team. Like they got Pietrangelo, who's sick, obviously, but like the rest of them are very much like traded for Eichel, traded for Stone. Didn't they trade for Pacioretty at the time too?
Yeah,
like,
give up
all
Suzuki.
those guys, and then just like, okay, we don't need you anymore. We'll move on.
Yep,
I like it.
Thank you. I got two more here. Clear this up for me. I'm noticing that the measuring stick for Darnell Nurse is always Cale Makar. Everyone brings up how Nurse makes more than Makar. Clear this up for me. Should Nurse and Makar really be compared?
No.
Yes
What?
and no. Because
no, God, no.
in the sense that like it's the issue that Darnell Nurse has is that he was offered a contract and he agreed to it. And that's the end of that. Because Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the league, he then gets compared to the higher paid defenseman in the league. And so it's just like, it's not unique to the Edmonton Oilers, in my opinion. It's something that every other team has when they're measuring their top guy against Cale Makar.
Yes. And there's a lot of players out there who I would take Nurse first, who are making more than him.
Exactly.
It was just the market at the time.
Werenski Jones.
Frustrating, but
for me,
I just like, can you accurately compare Austin Matthews to Connor McDavid? In my opinion, no. Matthews makes more money.
Point.
Nathan McKinnon, same
kind
thing.
of the same thing.
Yep.
In a way, you take Connor every single time.
also there's a big difference. Just the Makar Nurse contracts aren't comparable at all. Makar doesn't have the leverage when he's an RFA. Mm-hmm. So they bought up all of his RFA years and I think like 2 UFA years. Darnell Nurse's contract is all UFA years. The player has the leverage. You have to pay to keep him because he has the right to sign wherever he wants if he gets to free agency. Cale Makar's different. That's the way contracts work in the NHL. Your RFA years aren't as expensive as your UFA years. So like, again, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince people that Darnell Nurse contract is great, but it's not nearly as bad as some people want to make it out to be. Did he have a bad season last year? Yeah, there were some really tough stretches, but this year he's been excellent. And again, compare it to other UFA deals, and it's not a $5-6 million overpay like some mouth breathers want you to think it is. It's a $2 million overpay.
It's a lazy argument these people are bringing up.
That's what I mean. It's lazy. Like you can't be like, well, Makar, well, Miro Heiskanen, like those aren't the same.
No.
Thank you. That's brilliant. Last one here is clear this up for me. This one's a little bit of a throwback. I always thought about this. Tommy Salo. How come he doesn't get enough love from the Oilers? He had incredible numbers here during his time. What's the story behind this? Because I look at his stats and
I'll put the COA out there right away. He did get himself into some legal trouble during the pandemic, so that would be why he's no longer brought out by the organization. But before that was, I think, it's, you know, as Oiler fans, we love Tommy Salo, but Tommy had one of the biggest, I would say, like mental downfalls as a goalie in in hockey history.
You're watching one right now.
Went from the peak of being one of the top 5 goaltenders in the NHL to not in about a span of a year, all thanks to, and people just point at it as the moment when Belarus wired a shot off of his neck and it went in the net.
His career definitely turned there, but he was never a top 5 goaltender in the league.
He was considered it.
Look at the names that are around back then. There's Hall of Famers back then. There's more than 5 Hall of Famers.
I would say Tommy Salo was right in there, and maybe I'm glossing over it because I'm an Oilers fan and I wanted to.
I agree. Listen. He did a lot of good things for us, and we were still a underdog team because the salary cap wasn't in yet. We're still trying to fight our way up. We're a little Mac from Mike Tyson Punch Out. So yeah, he got a lot more. You like that? You got a lot more love from us, but I mean, you just look at the goaltenders that were in the league back then. It's really hard to say that, but it's I don't like, what kind of love are you looking for? What are you missing out on?
Like, would you say like he never really gets put into the same compared to like Rolson, for example, 2006.
Without that,
but regular season numbers wise, Rolson wasn't that great.
Rolson, well, yeah, afterwards,
Correct.
but the team wasn't either.
It's true, but I'm just saying. I mean, Tommy Sal, like, if he didn't have the legal issues, would he be in the Ring of Honor for the Oilers?
No, not yet. There's only
There's
only 2 votes in.
The ring.
What kind of
the ring
trouble
has
did
a
he get
lot
into?
of bit of trouble. He was, I believe, drinking and driving allegedly. In my opinion, was the accusation.
Yeah, if you talk to fans who are old enough, then you'll get the positive Tommy talk. But if they're not, they really don't know him. They don't understand. Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah,
and you don't have 2006 on it, so
yeah. I was also just looking at the numbers and compared them to the goalies after Tommy Sal. He had pretty solid numbers from that era compared to now.
100% he did.
So it's interesting. Also, was it normal for goalies to play like 70 games back then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gone are the days of seeing a goalie play more than like 50 games now.
I just remember like Martin
You'll
Brodeur.
catch someone like 60, 62, but yeah, those are like 3
Martin
guys.
Brodeur at his peak, would he like play literally every game outside of like a small
He hit
handful?
like 70 something.
But it was also normal to have 3 goalies carried on the roster and only have 1 for the shootout. That was normal. Just don't forget that.
Shout out to Mike Martin.
From
weird year.
1996 to 2008, there was only 1 season where Brodeur didn't play 70 or more games, and he played 67.
Wow.
That is just
Yeah, but
incredible.
I love because
Yeah.
these goalies, those goalies are sitting around on their couch and they're doing the exact same thing that the old NBA players are doing. Like, why do you guys need rest? Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Brodeur's out there, yeah, like 70 some odd games now. That's insane.
That is why the most breakable record in all of NHL history is nothing Gretzky did. It's Glenn Hall playing 580 consecutive games as a goalie. That will literally, like, there's no scenario where that ever happens again in the NHL.
How many games?
Like 580.
So we're talking about like
7 seasons.
Yeah, no.
North
never.
of 7 seasons while the game is.
Goalies can barely play 7 straight games right now. Never mind 7 straight seasons.
We're talking about Stu being like, hey, he's played 8 in a row. Like, got to settle it down. 580.
All right. Thanks, Waz.
Yeah, no worries at all.
There you go. That is your Can You Help Me Understand? Brought to you by.
No, it's not.
What is it?
Can you clear that up for me?
Can you clear this up for me?
Wrong show.
I like that you got jumped on by 2 people for that, though.
Signature segment.
And neither of them were was.
It's the signature segment.
Tough luck.
Not a bit.
Tough luck.
Did
Not
you
a
know
game.
Glenn Hall played for the Edmonton Flyers?
I did, actually.
What were his numbers?
Can he play now?
He played 63 games, 70 games, and 66. But his only stats for 1 year, and it only shows his goals against average. 283 on 66 games.
Not bad.
Back in that day, pretty good.
That's the year numbers were invented.
All right. Let's wrap up the show with a quick preview of the road trip. It is brought to you by Greta when the boys are in town.
I want to cut you off. Sometimes you look at old goalie numbers and they don't make sense, like goal games played. I'm just looking at Dominic Hasek's numbers from the mid to late 90s. He was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight seasons. The lowest save percentage he had was .920.
Oh my God.
It was
His high water, again, I know, different time.
Trap world, yeah.
937 for the full season in 1998-99. It was 64 games played.
I wonder what the goals per game average is for that whole season for the NHL.
He had an under 2 goals against average. I know, different time, clutch and grab, blah, blah, blah. But still, those numbers are
That's insane.
asinine.
2-1 is your most common final score. in overtime.
So when Waz brings up Tommy Salo, and I was looking at his like 904, 905, 910, like not close in the same conversation as a guy like the Dominator.
All right. When the boys are in town, Greta is your go-to pre and post game spot. When they're out on a road like this, why not saddle up and watch the game there? Intermission entertainment, good drinks, good food. Our friends at Greta have it all. All right.
Watch the game with a skee ball in your hand.
Yeah. And just be like, dibs on that machine.
Yep.
Take all the skee ball balls back to your booth and sit with them on your lap.
Mm-hmm.
They love it when you do that.
You just lay across all 4 seats in the Mario Kart.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to play the Islanders tonight. What do we think here? For me, there is one very winnable game on this trip. It's against the Devils, and you need to find a way. The Islanders are good at home, right, Liam? You'd look this up for me?
Yeah, they're all right.
Points in 8 straight at home.
Islanders at
There
home
you
are
go.
8-3-6.
But points in eight straight with 5 wins, I believe.
I think the winnable game on this trip is the Devils. Find a way to steal one against one of the 2 New York teams, and you got a 2-1 trip, and I'll be happy with that. Anyone disagree?
No, I think this team needs to be looking at winning all 3 of them. Now, I'm not saying that's you walk away with it if you go, 2-1 that you're upset. 1 and 2 is probably not great, but you need to go into this wanting to win all 3 of them.
See, it's interesting. Over the last 10 games, it's actually the Devils that have the best record over the last 10 of these 3 teams. Islanders 6-2-2, Rangers 6-4, and Devils 7-3.
The Devils aren't that good at home, though.
If this team plays as well as they can, we should be able to beat all 3 of these teams.
6-7-1, game under 500.
Yeah.
I think that this is now Knobloch's time to show up. This team, you got everything in my body warns me that this is a 5-game losing streak waiting to happen from the 2 games that we've already lost. This team could go down that road again of defensive lapsing and letting the goalies just hang out to dry. I don't want to see it. I want to see a win tonight against the Islanders. You got to beat the Islanders first.
All right.
And also they play the Rangers on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
How much money's Woody Nobby putting on the board? He was an assistant coach there, was he not?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah, revenge game.
Let's see a little money on the board, Nobby.
So what do you think with goaltending, though? So we have Skinner tonight.
Yeah.
Skinner's play. Well,
Then you have
all 3.
All 3.
I think if he plays
Thursday, Friday.
I think if he plays well, you just play him again against New Jersey and do like let's make sure we get
Is
the
it
2
Tuesday,
points.
Thursday, Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
then you have a 5-day break.
you can't play him all 3 though, Liam.
Why?
That's what I was thinking.
Because he's not Glenn Hall.
If he wins the first 2, I think you could do it.
Yeah.
What's it like?
You can't. Yeah.
What's
As
the
of right
difference
now,
between
all
an
I'm
extra
saying,
goal?
all I'm saying is that Skinner plays tonight,
I played
and
the
you
first 2 as well.
reevaluate after that game.
I'm with Rick.
And I am not against rolling him all 3.
Me neither.
I am.
I wouldn't be upset seeing Pickard against New Jersey myself. But did we play Pickard against New Jersey last time?
See,
Yeah,
that's a bit of a theory there. If you think that you have your best opportunity to beat Jersey, then you put in your best goaltender to secure those 2. I don't want to call them easy points, but secure those 2 points. And if you can somehow sneak it out the next game, then cool. But yeah, there's a different thought process there.
Yeah, I think we get to see some Knobloch isms now. We get to see how he's going to handle this and how he wants this team to go forward.
Well, big thing is the new line combos for tonight.
Yep. See if that works. The Oilers did beat the Islanders back in Knobloch's first game as the head coach, and they got to Ilya Sorokin a little bit in that one. It hasn't been vintage Sorokin so far this season. He hasn't looked.
Yanked, didn't we?
Yes. No, we got all our goals late in that game, didn't we? I forget.
They scored 3 in the third.
Yeah.
All I know is I got the puck line.
In his last 10 games, though, Sorokin has allowed 4+ goals in 5 of them. So he's been a little bit up and down, bit of a roller coaster so far this season. The Islanders also allowed the 2nd most shots against per game in the entire league, and their penalty kill sits dead last at 70%. So there's your little blast of stats for tonight's matchup against
If
the
I'm
Isles.
Knobloch, I'm telling the team to stop shooting at 39, though.
Yeah, no more.
No more than
Even if you're
39.
losing.
Yeah, just stop shooting. They will end up putting the puck in the net on themselves. Just no more no more shots after.
What a wild stat that
What is that? Is that 1 in 6 now?
1 in 6 when they have 40+ shots
What
on
a
goal.
fucking crazy stat that is.
Let's hope they buck that trend.
I mean, it makes sense like from the early games where we were down early and just hurling the puck.
Score
from
effects, like for
everywhere,
sure. But like just
Still, 40 shots is a lot of
Yep.
shots.
Agreed.
Derek Ryan isn't tonight. Not Adam Ernie.
Who says?
Someone called Bob_Stoffer.
Who's that?
He is a blue check mark. I would assume he pays for it. So hard to
All right.
Can you write that off?
Derek Ryan's in? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Business expense.
I want to know what kind of monetization on the old Twitter account Bobby's doing.
All right. We're going to go around and predict how
4-2
the
wins?
3 games go. How did the 3 games go, BM?
4-2 win. 4-2 win. 4-2 win.
Rick?
3-1 Edmonton. 5-2 Edmonton. 4-3 Edmonton.
Wow, all 3. Liam?
Skinner,
I would
Skinner,
like
Skinner.
to give, instead of a score prediction, may I give a
Yeah.
game prediction?
I'll just catch it. I don't care. Do whatever you want.
He's not going to stop you.
This is unbelievable. So I think tonight will be a very boring game, but the Oilers will win.
Okay.
I think against the Devils, there'll be a lot of goals both ways. And I think against the Rangers, it'll be a bit of a tight game. And I think the Rangers will come out on top late, unfortunately.
Dan?
I think we're going to beat the Islanders, lose to the Devils, and lose to the Rangers in overtime.
That's kind of what I think.
I like that. I think they're going to beat the Islanders tonight, lose to the Devils, and then stun us and beat the Rangers and finish 2-1.
Didn't they shut down like so the game against the Jersey? Wasn't that not like pretty fun to watch the first period and they kind of like slowed it down the second?
Clamped it down.
Yeah, they got a lot done.
We were
in the
up
first period.
in the first, though.
Yeah, but you kind of like tighten the game up because it's a little too end to end there, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, and then they started diving all over the ice.
oh,
All right. That is a
Hughes
wrap.
thing.
That is a wrap on a Tuesday edition of Oilers Nation Radio. We will be back on Friday to almost fully recap the road trip. We'll talk about the 2 games and then bring you into the holiday season as well. Chat with everybody then.